for this portion, we've got 6 alumni with us, or 5 alumni and 1 Kiwanian here with us today. And how it'll work is we have some questions prepared, but if you guys have any questions too that you want to ask, you can send it in the chat, and then I'll make sure to mark them down, and we can go ahead and ask those as well. And for the panelists, how this will work is I'll ask a question, and you guys can feel free to just unmute or just go ahead and start talking in whatever order you guys want. If it takes a while before someone speaks, then I'll go ahead and call on a name. So first, we'll do introductions. I'd like all the panelists to just say your name and also your position and any other information you like to include. So if you want to include the year you graduated or your major when you graduated, that'd be nice too. All right, so we can go ahead and begin with Terrence for this part.
Hey everyone, I'm Terrence. So right now I work as a software engineer 3 at Laserfish in Long Beach. I was a CS major and Asian American Studies minor when I was in college. So yeah, not much else to say, but I really like mentoring and teaching people anything in the CS or software engineering pipeline. So if you have any interest in STEM or anything like that, feel free to hit me up and whatnot. Thank you.
All right, and then we can just move down the line, go to Toki, then Thuyvi.
Okay. Hi, my name is Tokuko, and I'm a graphic designer. I'm a design intern for the Port of Long Beach and for the Small Business Development Center. I also do freelance design and help run a business. If you need any tips on digital marketing and stuff like that, then I'm the person to ask.
Hi everyone, I'm Thuyvi. I just graduated in May, so same time as Alexis, so sad that no graduation. I currently work as a paid social coordinator at W Promote, which is a performance marketing agency. And yeah.
Oh, hi. Hi, my name's Lyle Adonis. I work for Cal Western Manufacturers. I'm the analytical chemist there. And more recently, I'm a project manager too. I graduated in 2020 of spring and in MCPB, which is molecular biology and chemistry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eduardo Castillo. Most people know me by Eddie. I am currently a public policy student or a master's candidate for public policy at UCLA. I'm also interning with the Community Health Initiative of Orange County. This helps enroll unserved communities for health insurance. So if you have any questions on nonprofits, I know a bit. And then any questions on graduate school, I'm probably the only one here that's still in school on the panel. So if you have any questions on how to apply and stuff, I'm also your guy. Thanks.
Right, my name is Luis and I graduated spring 2020. And now I graduated in computer science bachelor's, and now I'm a software engineer. And that's pretty much it right now.
Okay, great. Thanks everyone for introducing yourselves. So for the first question we have today, it's going to be, do you have any advice for newcomers who are just getting started with their career, or for you guys specifically, in your career field, anyone who's starting in your career field, do you have any advice, especially regarding skills that you think might be important for someone interested in your job?
I can answer this one. Before we get into hard skills or job specific skills, there's something really important that I'd like to mention, which is something called soft skills as well. It's more of listening, reading into situations, and problem solving. communication and analysis, etc. So those are really important skills in any job. It's a reason why, like, and in my opinion, I've gotten a little bit further than some of my other peers in my company. So that too. But if you're graduating from STEM and looking in for something into a job, then the most important thing would be lab experience. Experience in the lab, like, I really don't know how to explain it. Yeah, that's all for me.
A follow-up question for you, Lyle, is yeah, someone asked what would soft skills primarily be social skills?
Yes, that is correct. Soft skills would be social skills as well. That would be under the umbrella of it.
Just to add to that answer, I think I'll try to make this. I'll try to make my response like a little bit more general, so not just people interested in STEM, but like I think when you're starting out, it's good to, like, obviously pick jobs that you would want to pick jobs and companies you would want to work for. But I also highly encourage people to just send out applications and your resumes to companies that, like, you know, are not at the top of your list. Why? Because I think that let's say you get an interview at you know, one of these applications you send. That interview is vital experience and exposure to the whole job application process, and you're not going to get that kind of like experience really anywhere else. And so, like, if you're shooting for like a dream company, like, it's kind of like bad to put it like this, but use some of those other companies as practice so that you get, you know, it's your nerves out, you get your interviewing skills refined and whatnot, so that when you get to that big company that you're shooting for, that big position that you're shooting for, you're ready. You have your like you have your story straight, your answer straight. You've been here a couple of times. You practice this a couple of times, so you're like more prepared for those kinds of positions that you do want.
I guess one more thing to add to that is, you know, whatever you're going out to try and do, because of course I'm more STEM related, but something that I've seen that that people look for is that, again, the communication skills that Lyle mentioned. At least with STEM in that field, you're going to be working with a lot of people. So to be able to communicate well and work with others is critical in that. And I'm sure in a lot of things. And the good thing is Long Beach prepares for that really well. There's a lot of people from Long Beach out where I work because they know that we're that kind of community. So I guess that gives an advantage in that sense. And another thing, try to work for things like outside of school as well, you know, things that are related to your field that that you could put on your resume that show that you have like a passion for what you want to do. And that kind of sets you apart from other candidates, and can really impress like employers as well, who would now know that, you know, you're driven to work in this field and it's something that you want to do in the future, and then they could rely on you to stay with them as well.
I also wanted to add that networking is also really important. It kind of goes hand in hand with like communication. Like, that's why it's important to know your pitch and also like know like what you're interested in, as well as like being able to like communicate that with other people, because when you network, you're also able to learn more about the role, or like talk to other people who are doing what you want to do, so you can like gain more insight and also like just like build that connection for the future.
Yeah, so branching off of Thuyvi's networking, I think that's being able to put yourself out there is very important, especially as a freelance designer. Since a lot of my freelance projects come from purely networking from like friends or like family members. So being able to have the confidence to put yourself out there is very important. And active communications, applying to like design, being able to talk about your design is really an important skill to have. You can't just be like, oh, I made this like this because it's pretty or like because it looks cool. That doesn't work that well, because you're gonna have to be able to apply your designs to certain projects and why you did certain things that way.
Okay, thanks everybody for your response. So for the second question, just to learn more about how you guys got your jobs in the first place, did you guys enter your current field or your current career through referral or through normal job applications? Or a combination of both if it happens to be that way? All right, Popcorn Eddie.
First person to ask, because I'm not looking for a job. I, as a graduate student, I applied. I didn't know anyone. And for my internship, it was just an application process as well. It wasn't really a referral either. So I'm probably the worst person to ask here, which is why I didn't say anything. Popcorn Terrence. He's the smartest guy I know.
Thank you, Eddie. Not true, but so for me, for my current job, I went through the normal job application process. I believe it was through their company website as opposed to like LinkedIn or like Indeed. But I have realized that when you go through a referral, usually you get an interview like faster and easier. So like referral is obviously highly recommended if you can, but that takes, networking, either through like people you know or like people they know, career fair, your counselors, etc. So yeah, but I'm just saying, my point is like, it's not impossible to get a job, without a referral.
I can go next. So for me, it was kind of neither. A recruiter reached out to me at the agency I'm working at, so I didn't really go through a like normal job application process. Like I didn't fill out like a form. So it was more like I had a recruiter reach out to me, and then I went through like the interview process. But so I guess like it's kind of like a referral essentially, because like if it was a referral, like that's kind of like what would happen. So that's why networking is important. But yeah, because like I had kept in contact with her like since I was in college. And then like because of COVID, like the internship program like got canceled. So I just like maintained my communication with her. And then she was the one who like told me about the job opening, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
For me, I got my interview at a career fair, basically with a bunch of STEM companies. That's a HENAC. I don't know if anyone would know about it here, but anyway, I've interviewed with a bunch of different companies there, but the company I'm at now, I was in contact for a while with a recruiter, and being able to network with that person, let me know like what kind of things the company would look for or what they wanted to see, and kind of help prep me for that process as well. So I got my internship there, and then from the internship I got my job. So I'd say it could be a combination of both. You could go out and do things on your own, and don't be afraid to reach out to people affiliated with the company as well to get your, if there's a specific place that you're targeting. So if you do that, then I'm sure you'll be more well prepared than if you hadn't. So.
Okay, if no one else wants to answer this question, then we can move on to the next one. Something one of the audience members asked is what are the best ways to network? So if you guys have any networking tips or guides for us, please share with us.
So as a business major, I used LinkedIn a lot. I know this is not like applicable to like all majors. So I think like in STEM, it's not as like reliable, but if you're going more in like business or like creative fields, LinkedIn is a really good resource. Just like with like in general, like connecting people that you're interested in, like learning more about their role or like the industry or like company. But also like being a part of like webinars like these. I know like Long Beach does like a lot of different types of like webinars like this, where like they bring in people from like various industries, and you can like kind of like have like a coffee talk with them. So being a part of those would be like really good, especially since like with everything being online. And then like also, I don't know how like they do career fairs like virtually, but like in person, like whenever I went to like career fairs, I would like talk to other like students and like other people like me. So like that was another way to like network. And then like I would say like in clubs too, like even in clubs that aren't like major specific, like in Circle K, there's people from like various like majors and stuff like that. So that's another way of like networking. Like networking doesn't really have to be professional. It can also be like social too. I feel like a lot of my like friends that I like didn't intend to know like on a professional basis. I just knew them more like in a social setting, and then like later on it became like a mix of both like social and like professional network.
Since Olivia called me out, I think aside from LinkedIn, I also use LinkedIn to help connect. In the I'm more on the creative side, so I also use Instagram, and I wanted to connect more with the community I'm in. I live in Long Beach, so I wanted to connect with more Long Beach artists. So I started following different organizations and like groups that are active in the art community in Long Beach, and then I would see certain contests or like projects that encourage everyone to participate in, and then through that I meet like other artists and other creatives, and then I see like job postings and stuff like that. So it just like keeps going. Just have to pick what you want to do and who you want to surround yourself with, and then just dive in.
Oh, I also wanted to add, I don't know if you guys have heard of like Clubhouse. It's an audio like social platform, but that's also really good for networking. It's like an invite only app. So like it kind of plays off like the whole like FOMO, like exclusivity type of feel. But it's really good for networking for pretty much anything, because like it doesn't have to be like just about business or like STEM. People talk about like literally anything. So it's like a mix of like both like professional and also like social, because like I know like they have like chat rooms for like anime and like more entertainment, like it's literally like anything. So like that's also a really good way to meet people, because it's like from like everywhere pretty much, like both like students, like also like professionals, and also like company execs and like all that kind of stuff. So that's also a good resource too.
Okay, thank you for your responses. And then next we have a question specifically for Eddie, and if anyone else has been to graduate school. How does the workload of being a graduate student compare to being an undergraduate?
Well, I think Terrence, are you still going to graduate school? So
I can talk to you about the application process, but no, I'm not in grad school right now.
Actually, yeah, could you guys talk about that too, just for anybody who's interested?
Yeah, I mean, so mine's in public policy, so it's a little bit more in the, like social sciences. area where like Terrence's application would probably be more in STEM. What would be. But for the question of the workload, my first quarter, the classes were like, pretty similar to undergraduate, and like the workload I thought was fine. But it was a very like different expectation, that, and like, I guess like figuring out what the professors wanted, and like just figuring out how to complete like your assignments and like your studies. Like I would say the workload was the same, but just the transition into a new environment was a lot like harder, for me specifically. And yeah, like I would say at times it would get a lot, especially since I was doing like LTG at the same time, which I wouldn't recommend. Like if I would go back, I probably wouldn't do that. But it toughened me up. I think I can definitely multitask a lot better. But like if you're going to graduate school, you should definitely like take out some time. Not necessarily like sacrifice certain aspects of your life, but more so like try to prioritize certain areas more that'll help you like after you graduate. So I would say if you can handle it, the workload's fine. But the issue for me was like trying to do a bunch of things at the same time. And now I am a lot happier that I can like, I don't have to commute to school. And I'm also kind of like focusing just on school right now. So it has helped me a lot. And in terms of the application process, I did it when I was still an undergrad, which I think you can do. And it like depends on what major you're applying for. But like that winter was, or I guess the fall was definitely horrible for me, because I was doing presidency, I was trying to study for the GRE, and I was like submitting it all while working on the application process. I remember Thuyvi definitely helped me with my cover letter, and that was like very difficult to do alongside like just my regular classes too. So like the application process can be brutal. I don't know, like Terrence was not in school. He was working on a job. I felt like I was in a time, so it felt very rushed, but Terrence can talk about doing it after.
Yeah, it is definitely like a very like tough process, because even though I wasn't in school, I still like going to work. So not as quite as busy as Eddie probably, but you have to be very disciplined about your time, and not underestimate like the application materials, I think. I'll talk about like the biggest thing for me, I think, was the statement of purpose. And it's not to be confused with a personal statement, like when you apply to like undergrad. So the difference is mainly that a personal statement is obviously talking about your background, your life experiences, and how that contributes to the person you are today, etc. Well, whereas a statement of purpose for grad school is more on, you're basically saying your qualifications and all your work-related, school-related, academic-related experiences that enable you to be qualified for studying what you want to study at grad school. So that's that's the first thing. You have to state like your qualifications and why you're relevant to this program that you're applying to. And the second thing is you actually have to specifically state like what you're interested in studying. And that's something that you have to do research ahead of time for, because you have to actually look into the program's curriculum, professors. You have to state like which faculty member you're most interested in working with, like which research you're planning on doing, etc. And it can get kind of like, I think a lot of people treat it as like a personal statement when it shouldn't be. It's more of like I said, it's more objective and talking about like what you're interested in doing and why you're pursuing grad school and what you want to study. So for example, for me in my application, since I'm pursuing like CS master programs, I wrote that I'm interested in studying like developer productivity, user interfaces, and like learning platform tools. So those are like some specific things that I put on my application. But I would say be prepared to at least spend like at least 2 to 3 months on it, because you're going to go through multiple drafts and you would want it to be checked by lots of outside resources, especially for your first application. So I would say, yeah, don't underestimate the application materials and give yourself enough time.
Okay, Eddie, there's another follow-up question for you. Is there any difference, any like workload difference due to the UC system change from CSU to UC, or is it mostly just undergrad to graduate?
Are the Kiwanians here? Just to... No? Okay.
Oh, they left.
Yeah. Okay. The quarter system friggin' sucks. I hate it. It's very bad. I don't like it a lot. It's a lot faster. Like we're already almost done with our like I'm already on week 9 for our winter quarter, and it just goes by too fast. Like like all of my essays are now due at the same time, and they usually have a lot of time to prep for your like final projects and stuff. But it just goes by so much faster, and that's like when I said that the workload is the same, like the transition was the hardest, and the transition is like primarily due to the quarter system. It's just so much faster. Also in UC, like something I didn't know, and I guess it's specific to graduate school, is like obviously you would think that the class sizes are a lot smaller, and they are. But like I've been in a class with only 2 people, with like me and this other girl, and that was like the worst experience of my life. I think that was like the hardest class I've ever taken. It was like an elective too at UCLA. And we had to do like 300 pages of reading per session, and we met like twice a week. And like that was a huge workload, and that was my first term, my first quarter. And like that, I don't think I've ever experienced something like that. Like at Cal State Long Beach, like obviously like small class sizes and like a professor that's kind of crazy. That's kind of a unique one, but I attribute that specifically to like the UC system. And I did have another class that was 5 people that wasn't as bad. But like you'll get a lot more of those experiences that are like you can't really slack off because there's only like 2 or 3 people there. So like there's only so many people that the professor can call on. So you really have to like actually do it and not really BS your way through. Which sucks, but it's part of the graduate experience, I guess.
There was another question for Toki as well regarding I think it was LinkedIn. What do you think is the best way to utilize the app? Audrey says that she gets random invites to follow people, but she only accepts people that she knows. Is that a good idea, or should she try should she try to accept people that are outside of her social circle, or try to keep it more intimate and personal?
Yeah, so I get a bunch of random invites too and requests to connect. I think I could popcorn to Thuyvi after my response since she also uses LinkedIn a lot, but I personally think it's better to add like all those random people, because you might find like genuine connections that might lead to something. So like you might find like a job or some sort of opportunity that you might not have found within your own limited circle. So I think you should just accept random invites because they're looking for someone too.
Yeah, and adding on to what Toki said as well, like the people you like connect with, like that's like whose content you'll see on your feed. So if you don't want to like just like connect with like random people that you don't think will like provide value to you, like based on what your like feed looks like, you can also like connect with like those people's connections. So it's like still kind of like intimate in its own way. But also like you can always like unconnect from people. So if you accept and then you like don't want to like stay connected with them because you don't really think like they're like relevant to you or like provide like value to you, you can always do that. Because I think like with LinkedIn, the limit is um, like I think it's like a couple thousand people that you can connect to. So like after like a couple thousand, like you can't anymore. But yeah, like I think like with LinkedIn too, it's not really like other social platforms where like you're only like connected to the people you actually know. So I think like definitely like broadening like your network is really good because like you never know, like they might be like relevant to you in some way, even if they're not like directly like in your field. Because I connect with pretty much like people I know, and then like even in like business, not necessarily like marketing too.
Yeah, I wanted to also add on, like, even if you're not the person they're looking for, they might go through your connections and then find whoever, you know, they're looking for in your connections. So you might actually be helping a friend out in that way.
Just to add on to that about like, you know, the other side of that, a lot of people connect request with me on LinkedIn. And at first I'm just like, yo, who are you? But then most of the time they're like asking for a referral to my company, or they're like, you know, they're like current students at my alma mater, and like they're asking either for an internship or advice about, you know, whatever. And usually it's really nice seeing those messages, just because it kind of makes you feel like that you've like somehow made it, and that, oh, I'm good enough that this person wants to, or I seem good enough that this person wants to like connect with me and like ask me for help. So you know, like it's like, as the previous like panelist said, it's good to like just go out of your social network, and even if you don't directly know these kinds of people, because they could want to help you out. You never know.
Also, adding on to that too, when like you're inviting people to connect, I highly recommend like personalizing your note, because like I also get like a bunch of people like connecting with me, and like sometimes they're students, and if they're students, like I'll be more likely to connect since like I'm like a recent grad, and like I know like they probably like want to reach out to like learn more about like what I do. But like having a note, like it increases your chances of like actually getting accepted, because especially like if they work at like a like higher like company like Apple or like one of those like big names, if you have a note and you can like basically like differentiate yourself from like just like all the random people who connect, they'd be more interested in like actually helping you because you're taking the time to like reach out to them, not like by just like connecting, but also like adding like a personal like note to it as well.
Okay, thank you for your responses again. For the next question, for your careers or jobs specifically, were there any skills that the company required certification for, other than like just like a degree, if they required a degree? I'm not sure if anybody here has a job like that or works in a field like that right now, but if you do, does anyone actually? Before I move on to the next question.
I guess design wise, at least at the job, at my internship, they expect industry standards for graphic design, so they expect you to know the Adobe Creative Suite. So like at the bare minimum, Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. I'm sure that's going to be similar to other design jobs, but you know, if you're doing freelance and doing your own thing, then you can use whatever program that you're comfortable with.
I'll speak specifically on CS. I don't want to necessarily talk for all of STEM or other jobs, but for, you know, if you're planning to be a software engineer, if you're just starting out, it's really rare for companies to say like, oh, you need to be good at like Java or like this programming language or like Python, because they're not really looking for, first of all, if you're like, like starting at an entry level position, you won't have much years of experience for that anyway. So what really companies are looking for are people who are like adaptive thinkers, are good problem solvers, so that they can learn any type of language and learn any type of technology fast and efficiently. And because, especially for our field, software engineering, technologies are changing every day. Like there's a new thing coming out every day, especially if you're in a field like web development or like mobile development. And so even if you're really proficient in one technology or one language, it could be like obsolete by, the next year or whatever. So my point is, for like my field, it's not as important as saying that I'm very proficient or I need to be an expert in like X language or whatever.
Okay, thank you. So we'll do one last question, and if any other audience questions pop up, we'll try to do those as well. But for the last question, what do you guys enjoy most about your current job or what you do now? And we'll start with Toki.
Yeah, I'll start. What I enjoy about my job is that I get to work with multiple, or like all kinds of different people. So at my internship with the Port of Long Beach, I get to work with people who have been in Long Beach for a long time, know its history, and like really loves the city. Because beforehand, I only moved to Long Beach to go to college here, so I only surrounded myself with my CSULB friends, all the college students that were like very similar to me. But then moving on to this internship, I'm surrounded by people of all ages and different walks of life. So just having that different variety and perspectives was really cool. And then between my internship and freelance jobs, it's all the schedule is up to me. So I really enjoy the flexibility right now. That's what I'm enjoying in my design career currently.
And then next, let's ask Luis.
Mine is pretty straightforward. I'm a software engineer. I like programming. That's just what I enjoy. But on top of that, I'd say the people at my company, everyone I've met has been really nice and always helpful, especially with like the interns when I was an intern, and then just the what do you call it, newer employees as well, which I think is important when any job, just to have environment that that supports you, and then that helps you, just feel comfortable there, and keeps you improving as well. So I'd say just the work I do is what I enjoy, and the people there as well.
Right. And Lyle?
So I guess I would say the most enjoyable thing I like about my job is I have a lot of independence. I don't have a boss. I go in whenever I want, and I have deadlines, but they're not solid deadlines. If I don't make it, I can always push it back. I coordinate multiple teams with that too. So if like anything's wrong with that, I like how do I say that? Like, there's no boss that's telling you, hey, you gotta do this by this, and then like if you don't do it, you're punished. But yeah, that's what I really like. It's lax, but not too lax, if you get what I mean. Oh yeah, I have like 3 to 4 teams I coordinate-ish. I know it's weird. I always screwed around in college, and then here I am.
Thank you, Lyle. Eddie?
So we're talking about what we
Enjoy. What about you doing? And what do you enjoy about what you do?
I guess for my internship, I just recently started it, but it's with a nonprofit. So like a lot of their resources are really kind of outdated. I don't know, it just makes you feel feel for those people that are like kind of willing to take a pay downgrade to like care about the work that they're doing. And so with my internship, a lot of it is kind of enrolling those with like extremely low poverty in Santa Ana to like social services that they can access and like make sure that they get healthcare. So I don't know, I like being able to see like how far people will go to like ensure that people, that the community is like a lot better. And I don't know, it reminds me of like being in Circle K too, of like just kind of caring for other people a lot more than yourself. And it's clear, like if you work at any nonprofit, like the stuff that they go through is like a lot less lavish for sure. And then for school, it's a huge pain for sure. But I really do enjoy kind of looking at the end product of whatever project I'm working on. So like right now we're working on our applied project, which is kind of like the public policies form of a thesis. And it's a pain in the ass for sure to work on. And it's a ton of time. And like I've had to do several interviews with like clinic directors and working with my partners and with our client. And like right now it's very awful doing. At the same time, it's very interesting work, and I'm really excited to finish it because I enjoy kind of looking at my end product and being able to say that like, hey, I did this. So yeah, although graduate school is very like time consuming and tough, I do still enjoy my area of study for sure.
Thank you. And Terrence?
Okay, so for me, I'm not necessarily like in love with coding or programming per se, but like, okay, so this is kind of like a nerd answer, but so why I like my job is that I like problem solving a lot and I like learning, and software engineering is just a means to get to that for me. So like every day I have like a new problem to like work on and try to use my brain to figure out, and it's really like satisfying. You know, when you get the solution, if you get the solution. Sometimes I don't get the solution, and it like keeps me like very mentally active, and it makes me feel like I'm still growing even after I've like graduated college, especially since I'm like learning all these new things still. And yeah, I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Right. And Thuyvi.
For me, I feel like there's a lot of different things, but I guess like to encompass it, I guess like it would be the company culture, especially like for me, since I work at a creative agency. It's a lot more like casual than like a regular corporate job. So I really like that my work really cares about like my mental health and my well-being. So like they're always encouraging me to like take time off and to make sure like I'm not like overworking myself. And then they also like offer a lot of like different like activities to strengthen the bonds with like its employees. So like we'll have like yoga classes and like cooking classes and like just like events like those. So it kind of like reminds me of Circle K, because like we have like houses, which is like kind of like families in Circle K. But like overall, I really like that. Like I like don't feel like I'm like just like working. Like I'm also like enjoying like what I'm doing and like having fun with like my fellow coworkers. Okay, Olivia, it's not a frat. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody, especially to all the panelists who came out and took time out of your days to help us learn more about being an adult. And also, like to thank Alexis too, of course, for hosting that wonderful workshop. And glad I learned that my diet is not healthy, and that there's a lot of things that we can do to help take care of ourselves. And even though the other Rick and Donald left, I'd like to thank them too for. I didn't realize we get 2 free years at Kiwanis. Wow, that's cool. So thank you, and thanks to everybody who came out and learned from our alumni. And if you would